we talked about Cam Newton last week.
Yeah.
And, him calling Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy and some of these other guys game managers. Well, an ESPN pundit, I don't even know her name.
Kimberly Martin.
Kimberly Martin, that's her name. I don't even know her name. She put on a show on Get Up, I believe it was.
Yeah, she was on Get Up.
She was on Get Up, and she said that you have the exact.
Yeah, so she goes out there on Get Up, and then Kimberly Martin comes out, and she's like, well, I think Cam Newton, in a year where there's no quarterbacks on the field, and it's a year of backup quarterbacks, like, why isn't Cam Newton out there playing? Like, first of all, you're calling out Cam Newton's take, and your first inkling, you're like, what's a good idea? I should call out a guy who got the crap beat out of him by TJ Watt, got the crap beat out of him by DeMarcus Ware and the Old Spice guy who went to from Denver, who went to the Rams.
Von Miller?
Von Miller, yeah. He got the crap beat out of him by Von Miller in the Super Bowl in the first game of that season. And your first take with that, calling out Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, and Jared Goff game managers, is to call him out for not playing. Like, that doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with his take. And then you compare him to someone tweeting at you from their basement, telling you to get back into the kitchen. It's like, no, first of all, Cam Newton is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. When he was playing, he was one of the most dominant players in the NFL, even if he didn't have the best completion percentage in the world. So instead of going for substance and diving into his take, well, maybe like Dak Prescott, you can make some arguments there. Your first, you call out his outfit, and then you go right after him not playing in the NFL. It's like, have you ever taken a hit from TJ Watt before? Have you gotten in those pads before and taken a hit from Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware? It's like, and first of all, Cam Newton probably knows more about football than most people do, especially on a show. And it's like the same thing where it's like, oh, well, you're talking about football, but you don't work for a network. So it's like, you obviously must not know football. It's like, no, you can know football without talking about it, but you have to have some substance for your argument. And your first point can't be just like, where's Cam Newton playing? You sound like someone in their mother's basement calling me to get back in the kitchen. It's like, what are you doing on national TV?
It was very venomous. And that's been the issues with the media really this entire year. And this is why we do these segments that we do. It's like, the issue is not disagreeing with Cam Newton's take. The issue is attacking Cam Newton, the character, Cam Newton, the person.
Yeah.
First of all, we'll get one thing straight with Cam Newton. He is a Heisman winner. He won a Heisman. He was a first overall pick. A Carolina Panthers franchise, which is a consistent worst top 5 team according to the Brickyard, taking that team, making them 15-1, having one of the best regular seasons of all time, bringing them to a Super Bowl and facing off against the Broncos. Cam Newton having one of the greatest single seasons of all time, and then becoming one of the most influential running quarterbacks of all time, inspiring the likes of Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, modernizing the NFL as we see it today. He's definitely one of those people. Him and Michael Vick, you can shout out, definitely. And then not only that, him also being a fashion icon, him being an icon in pop culture with the dab taking over 2015. Cam Newton is qualified to talk about football. He spent 10 years in the NFL. He played from 2010 all the way up until 2020. He played for the Patriots, played for the Panthers, and ultimately, the history of Cam Newton's career was him getting beaten the crap out of, especially after that 2015 season with TJ Watt, with that Patriots team that did not have good offensive line. Cam Newton is qualified to talk about football. He's a smart man, and he is, like I mentioned, first overall pick, Heisman winner, MVP winner, Super Bowl participant.
Yeah.
He's qualified to talk about it. And then attacking his fashion is so shallow, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about the point itself, calling people game managers. If you want to talk about the game manager conversation, you definitely can. Is Dak Prescott a game manager? Is Brock Purdy a game manager? Whoever it might be. You disagree with his take, that's fine. But don't attack the person of Cam Newton, because that's disingenuous.
Yeah, and it's like, why are you talking about Cam Newton not playing anymore? It's like, are we going to talk about, like, well, Tony Romo is calling the game, and I'm not gonna attack Tony Romo like, oh, where's Tony Romo playing? I'm just gonna be like, no, Tony Romo is severely annoying for how he talks about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, I get, but Josh Allen has not proven as much as Patrick Mahomes. So that's my gripe with Tony Romo. I'm not going to be like, where's Tony Romo in a year of all these backup quarterbacks? It's like, no, Tony Romo would die if he stepped on the NFL field legitimately. And then Cam Newton, just because he doesn't have the ability to play, and now you're probably making him feel bad that he's not on a team right now too. It's like, it's just not professional, and it's a bad take too. And like, if you want to have the conversation about Dak being a game manager, it's like, well, he proved this week that he is a game manager, and he proved Cam Newton's point. And like, what games, like, you can't point to any playoff games, any big moments where Dak Prescott has taken over in his career and been a difference maker and not managing the game. And Cam Newton's point was, there's only Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and a few other guys that you can legitimately call someone who can change the game, because it's he's pointing out a flaw in the media saying, oh, this guy's a top 10 quarterback and they can change the game. He's like, no, you're a little bit overreactionary. You're trying to just have a hot take for headlines. There's only a handful of guys legitimately that can change a game, and that's not a bad thing.
No, that's what separates the elite quarterbacks from the rest of them. And, you know, him mentioning the Lamars, the Josh Allens, the Patty Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, whoever it might be, these are what separate the special from the really good.